Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kat's Kitchen and I am Kathleen, and we have a very busy day or busy evening in the kitchen. I'm going to start with making some water for my tea, and then I'll break down everything that I have planned for this video and then we'll get started. I'm going to need the caffeine boost and just the warmth to help me push through this evening. It's already after 8 o'clock. I just put my daughter to bed and we have a lot to do this evening that I have planned. I didn't get to make my candy for Christmas, so I'm going to go ahead and make them now because I'm celebrating Christmas with my sister this weekend since we were so busy through the holidays and they got COVID right before Christmas. So we're just doing it then. So I figured it'd be a perfect excuse for me to make this candy and bring it with me. So I want to make cinnamon candy. I bought the oil, I would say 6 months ago, and I just never got around to doing it. So I'm excited to finally get started on this. I have never made candy before, so this is going to be an adventure. I'm going to make caramel, same as the cinnamon, never made it before. And then I have a bunch of hot peppers, let me show you. Jalapenos that I picked from the garden. Was it last summer? And I just been throwing them in the freezer until I was ready to deal with them. So I got to get these out of the freezer since one, garden season is going to start up soon, and two, I'm running out of room in my freezer. So we're going to go ahead and ferment these into hot sauce. These are both jalapenos. And then I have a bag of cayenne and a bag of, I believe, are serranos. So we're also going to put these into the hot sauce. Let me wash my hand and then go get gloves so I don't accidentally touch my eyes. I'm not worried about jalapenos since to me they're not hot, but I'm not sure about the hotness of the cayenne and the serrano. So I'm going to put gloves on just to be on the safe side. I got the gloves and my water's done boiling, so let me go ahead and start steeping my tea. Hopefully this will help keep me going through most of the video because I'm already starting to slow down quite a bit. Alright, let me put my hair up so I don't have to worry about dealing with that in the video. And I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm not sure if I want to do the caramel first or the cinnamon candy. As I like to get one of these going and then start chopping up peppers because it has to take a while to reach a hot point. So this goes to 300 and 310 and this goes to 250. So I think I'm going to go with the cinnamon candy since I don't have to watch it as closely as I was caramel, because if you get too hot, it's almost too hard to eat. It turns into super hard candy. And I would like to try to keep it a little bit on the chewy side if I can. I've never done this before, so we shall see. So we're going to go ahead and start this. You want to use a decent sized pot because the candy will bubble up quite a bit. So I have this one in I'd say a medium sized stock pot, and that's usually probably my two biggest pots. We don't have a lot of big pots around here. So I'm just going to use this one since it's also non-stick, and hopefully my candy won't stick to it and I can easily wipe it clean and use it for the caramel. We shall see. Alright, so 3 3/4 cups of white sugar. And I'm low on sugar, so let me go grab a bag out of the back and I'll be right back once I refill this. I'm going to go ahead and take my 3 3/4 cups out of here and place it in my container. 1, 2, 3. I'm not sure how accurate this has to be since we're doing candy, but let me see if I can find a 3/4 measuring cup. Alright, so 3 3/4, right? Alright. We'll set this over here. And now I'm going to attempt to pour this in this bucket without making a mess. 1 1/2 cups of light corn syrup. Let's create a little well. So if I do make a mess, it goes into the pot. My daughter has learned to crow like our roosters. That's what you're hearing in the background, in case you're wondering. I am a little scared to be making candy since it does seem like a very daunting task since there's shops. It's almost like making like croissants or special baked goods. There's special shops set up just for candy making because it is that difficult to do or it's that difficult to excel at it. But I wanted to get into the tradition of making homemade candy. I had a friend that did that every year and I always enjoyed that, and I wanted to bring that into our house. Alright, so we have 3 3/4 cups of sugar down, the 1 1/2 cups of light corn syrup. So I just need 1 cup of water. Okay, so the recipe says we need to heat over medium-high heat, stirring constantly until sugar dissolves. Stop stirring and heat until a candy thermometer reads 300 to 310. I don't have a candy thermometer, but I have an electric thermometer, so hopefully that's good enough, because that's what we're dealing with. I saw one on Amazon that had the candy thermometer inside the spatula, like in the center of it. It's on my to-buy list. It looks amazing. I just have one of these, so this is what we're going to use. That in between medium and high heat. Let me turn her down a little bit since she's making a lot of ruckus. Once this is, I guess, sugar's dissolved, I'm going to get my tray, my pan filed out or taken out and put foil and stuff on it like the ingredient says. And then we'll maybe start the peppers depending on, I'm not sure if I want to, like a part of me wants to say, hey, we can get it done. Another part of me is like, I don't want to start that and then not be able to switch over fast enough to deal with this, since this is a fairly new project for me. This is the cinnamon candy that I'm using. I will wait to start the jalapenos until we're done with at least 1 candy. We need a roll the edge of 2 16-inch square pieces of heavy-duty aluminum. Sprinkle the foil generously with confectionery sugar. Okay, so let me find a heavy-duty pan. I think I'm going to use this one and line it with foil. I'm not sure what it means when it says roll the edges of the 2. I'm not sure. I don't know why, but this is giving me anxiety. I feel like I'm gonna like mess this up. It says use 2 square pieces, but I think I'm just gonna use this one. This is trial and error, so if we mess up, we mess up. I just want to take it to my sisters, and my husband will eat it, or my sisters and her kids will eat it, and they'll probably still enjoy it. So it's gonna be a win-win either way. Alright, powdered sugar. I need to move faster, I'm running out of time, I'm not prepared. I'm just going to sprinkle, I guess, the rest of this powdered sugar I had in the cabinet, because it said generously. Alright. So this candy is climbing rapidly, so let's see what happens. Remove from heat and stir in cinnamon oil and food coloring. I need 2 teaspoons. Let me get all that ready. You can see where it's starting to get clear in color. And it's reading. So it looks like it's starting to slow down some, temperature-wise. Alright, so we need 1 teaspoon. Do not put your face over this when you add the cinnamon oil. It will be very potent when it hits that hotness. We need 2 teaspoons. Some people do this in front of an open window or outside, I've seen videos of. Alright, and then a teaspoon of red food coloring. I'm gonna go ahead and pour this in here. And do not put your face over it when pouring it either, because I got a whiff of it and it was strong. And if this doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, and I'll use a different recipe, or candy making's not my thing, but at least we tried. I'm going to see if I get some air bubbles out. This smells really strong. This is why you open windows and doors. I might have to open my back door and help get some of this air out. It's not overpowering, but it is something you don't want to do in a very small apartment without no windows open. Alright, so that's 1 recipe done, and that took us about 46 minutes, which is not bad. I'm going to find this another home and put a pot holder underneath it. I'll probably stick it over there. This house is going to smell amazing when my husband comes home from work. It's going to smell like caramel and cinnamon. I think I'm just going to slice everything up. I'm going to leave the seeds on since we like spices. We like our hot sauce hotter. Let me check my daughter. I'm going to get these chopped up and then go check on her if she's still up. The skins and the seeds in the pepper, that will make it hotter. Once you ferment a pepper or ferment hot sauce, it does come out hotter in the end. But once you put it in the fridge and it chills or it sits longer over time, it starts to cool down. It almost, I think Texas Pete is fermented, if you ever had that. Sriracha is fermented, but it has sugar in it, so it gives it a different flavor. This one calls for garlic cloves and onions. I will be adding those as well. But let's go ahead and get the jalapenos chopped up and into the jars and see how many we got going on. I should have weighed these. Let's weigh them. So this weighs about 3.14 pounds, this big bag. And this weighs, so about a pound. So this is about 4 pounds of peppers that we got out of the garden, which is pretty good for our first year growing jalapenos. I'm proud of that. Chili peppers, what's the weight on these? About half a pound of the chili peppers. And I think these are serranos. I don't know. I don't think I ever had one to see what they were. I was afraid they'd be too hot. These are half a pound as well. I think these used to be purple, but when I put them in here, they turn green. Alright. I'm going to try to not mix the green and the red, since that will cause it to be an ugly color. Probably like a brown, and I'm trying to keep it either green or red. And I don't have enough red peppers, so we're just going to focus on the green peppers only. I'm going to start with the quarts, and then whatever's left over, I'll put in the pints. Gloves. So I can close that. You can see the little ball in my, or you can't see. I keep finding tidbits in all my cabinets. Alright. I am very excited for this, doing these jalapenos or these hot sauce. I've been wanting to make hot sauce for about over a year or 2 years. That's why I initially grew all these spices. I wanted to get jalapeno onion in out of the fridge. Leftover onion that we didn't use for dinner, and garlic, so I won't forget it. But I originally grew these peppers just for hot sauce and salsa. So I'm excited to see the final product. Alright. I'm going to start with the little bag first. And I'm just going to take off the stems. If you want your hot sauce to be milder, then you want to remove the seeds. I'm going to strain this and blend it anyways. Maybe not even blend it. I'm either going to strain it or blend it. So in the end, it doesn't matter about the seeds for us. Okay, these are tough. I'm not sure if I should do it a certain way. Should I do one with onions and garlic? One with more cayenne to make it hotter? It's a good thing I didn't start this when I was doing the candy, because these peppers are not cutting very well, or my knife is dull, one of the two. I'm pretty sure it's because I had them frozen. So a pound and a half filled up 1 jar. So I think I'm going to call this one good on jalapenos and start adding the other peppers. And I'm going to stick to only the green peppers. I think next year I'm going to de-stem all these before I put them into the freezer. I think that would be easier. I did the same thing with my tomatoes. I didn't de-stem those, so when I pulled them out, trying to make sauce out of it, it was a pain. And I just threw the stem in there. Alright. My daughter's singing. This is going to be a very green sauce. That's okay. I also have to leave room for the onions and garlic. The recipe called for carrots, but my husband was like, don't add that. He's not a carrot fan. One's already chopped up for dinner we had. My husband showed me this trick from TikTok. I don't watch TikTok that often. Well, I haven't in a very long time. But that guy just stuck his knife in it and pulled out a perfectly good. Yeah, it did work. Pulled out a perfectly good one. It does break it apart some, so it's not like foolproof, but worked out pretty good. I'll just do one final chop. Those are starting to run. I think this garlic and onion is starting to take away some of the smell of the cinnamon and peppers. Alright. So I'm going to call this one good. You can see it has a layer of jalapenos. And then we have the, I think they're cayenne peppers, onion, and then garlic. So this jar is good. Now to do our other bag of jalapenos. Now I'm going to get to the serrano peppers since I forgot them. They smell like, I swear that a lot of these peppers bred with my green peppers because the green peppers, the green bell peppers smelled like banana peppers. And the banana peppers tasted like bell peppers. Which that is a thing. They can cross pollinate or breed. They can do that. And I had them really close together, I think. Just cut my glove. They were only about a foot next to each other. And within, I don't know, 10 feet of a radius around each other. These gloves are too big for me. They're my husband's. So I keep slicing the top out of one of them. Alright, we're almost done. Maybe about 2 or 3 more peppers. I got this in the mail. It's a fermentation kit. I've fermented like making apple cider before. And it was always a struggle to try to make sure the contents didn't float. So this one has the glass weights in it. And also the air bubble lock. Excited to see how this works out. But I'm going to have to wash this fermentation water. Warm up on the stove to dissolve the salt. So I'm going to start on that. And then wash this. And then we're going to start on the caramel candy. And then we'll be done for the night. Alright, so I'm not sure how much I need. Maybe 2.5 per jar. So I'm going to do 2.5. So 2, 4, 6, 7.5 cups. So let me get that on the stove. You do want to make sure that the salt to water ratio is correct. I think it's I don't think they have the ratio here, what it's supposed to be. But try to find a recipe that, online if you can, to double check the ratio of everything. Since you do not want to go through all this work and you have bacteria that grows into your jars. 4 cups. Right, 2, 4, 6, 7.5. Here's 3.5 cups of water. Drink some more tea. So you're supposed to use 1 1/4 teaspoon per 1 cup of water. So I need 1.5 teaspoons. You want to make sure that you do not use iodine salt. You want to use either kosher salt or pickling salt. I think the recipe said sea salt or Himalayan salt. But I have this, so I'm using this. We're going to do 7 teaspoons of this and some change. We're going to start off with 7 teaspoons because that's easier to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, It's okay if you have more salt in your water. You just don't want to have less salt in your water. And since this is coarse salt, I'm gonna have to add a little bit extra. Okay, and we're gonna do a quarter 7 times. Oop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we have half, so I just need half a teaspoon. Which I'm pretty sure I already did that, but yeah, good enough. And then half a quarter. Oop, that's a whole quarter. Alright, so I'm gonna put this on the stove to let it boil. Just to have the salt dissolve into the water. And that's a perfect time to start cleaning up, getting the fermentation kit washed up and my pot washed up so I can start the caramel. Oh shoot, are these wide mouth only? Ooh, they are not wide mouth, I think. They are wide mouth. So I'm going to have to find wide mouth jars and dump these into it. So I usually don't carry wide mouth jars, mostly because I prefer the normal mouth jars. So at least these fit. So I'm going to go ahead and wash these up. It took some digging, but I found some more, so I'm going to wash these up before I dump food into them, make sure they're clean. One thing I forgot to add, when doing fermented foods, you do not want to use tap water. We're on a well, so we're okay. But tap water is highly chlorinated and it will kill any chance of you having natural fermentation, which is caused by healthy bacteria entering into your food. And with the chlorinated water, it will kill all of that. And you might get mold or you might get nothing. I'm going to wash up 3 of these jars. I just pulled the water off the salted water off the eye. And I'm just going to stir it to double check that all the salt has dissolved, which it has. I'm just going to let that chill on the stove until we're done with the caramel. And it should be hopefully close to room temperature by then. And I'm just going to go ahead and dump the rest of these into these jars. Then we can start on the caramel. Once these start to ferment, they should soften up more and it'll create more of a headspace. This shouldn't take as long since it doesn't have to get as hot. We're just going to the soft stage of candy, which is around 250. I think that one we're trying to get to 310. And it seemed like once it hit 240, it started to slow down. So this says you're supposed to stirring occasionally. I always thought if you stir caramel when it hit a certain stage, it caused the sugar to change texture, so you don't get a smooth caramel. So I'm not going to stir this. So let's see. Combine brown sugar, white sugar, butter, corn syrup, cream, milk, and vanilla. Hopefully I have enough heavy cream. So we need 1 1/4 cups of brown sugar. Excuse me. My brown sugar is homemade. I'm not sure if that'll affect the taste or the consistency of it, since it has a higher molasses level. We shall see. Here's my homemade brown sugar. You can tell it's darker in color versus the store-bought brown sugar, so hopefully this will not mess up our recipe. 1/4 cup. I'm just gonna do 4 or 5 of these. So we need 4 more of these. I need 4 more. 2, 3, 4. And then you need 1 2/3. So I'll just do that twice. 1 2/3 cups of white sugar. So here's 1 cup of white sugar. And then I'm going to do 2 of these because this is 1/3. That's 1, 2. I need 1 cup of butter. Each stick is 1/2 cup, so I'm gonna throw 2 in here. Sorry, I didn't realize you couldn't see that. One cup of corn syrup. 1 cup of corn syrup seems like a lot of corn syrup. Alright, there's 1 cup. And then I'm going to need 1 1/4 cups of heavy cream. Hopefully I have enough heavy cream. Because I've been using it for my tea. I might not. And then I'm not sure what I'm going to do. It's going to be close. There's a cup. Ooh, I have just enough. Ooh, just enough to finish this recipe. They were sold out at my Walmart of heavy cream. One of these days, I would love to have our own milk cow. Hopefully in the future, we will be able to. Alright, and I need 3/4 cups of whole milk. Where's the 3/4 cup one? Alright, and now we need to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I'm running out of vanilla. Alright, all I can find is 1/2 teaspoon, so I'm just going to do 4 of these. One, 2, 3, 4. Alright. So we added the brown sugar, 1 1/4 cups of brown sugar, 1 2/3 cups of white sugar, 1 cup of butter, 1 cup of corn syrup, 1 1/4 cups of heavy cream, 3/4 cups of milk, and then 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And we're gonna put this in the saucepan and cook it over medium heat, stirring occasionally to 250. Pour into an 8x8 inch pan. I probably should grease that pan. So my 8x8 is in the fridge, so I'm going to use this one. Hopefully it works out. We'll see. I'm just going to grease it with some avocado oil. And I'm going to go ahead and put this on the eye to start cooking. And put it on medium heat. Let's get this buttered up or oiled up. Hopefully this oil is okay to use with this. I don't know. We get all of this. If it's not, then it's not. So they say to test this, you drop it into cold water, and if it forms a rigid ball, then you know it's ready to be put in the pan. I need a cup so I can drop it into a cold glass of water to see if it forms a ball. I'm going to stir this until it gets combined, and then I'm going to stop stirring it. That is what my gut's telling me to do, because I've seen a few cooking shows where it started to turn gritty. And if this doesn't work out, this doesn't work out. We'll try a different recipe a different time. I'm pretty sure we'll still eat it. It'll still be edible. It just might be a weird texture. So you can see that I have that water up here coming to room temperature. It's still kind of steamy. And I'm just going to stir it until the butter melts. And then I'm just going to let it be and let it turn into candy. Okay, we're almost at 200. So I'm thinking it's going to go up to 240 semi-quick. Alright, already above 200. We're at 210. You see how quickly it starts to shoot up once we hit 200? And I'm going to test it at 240. Hopefully this doesn't burn because I'm not stirring it. I swear every recipe I've looked at says you don't stir. This one says stir occasionally. I don't trust it. So either I'm correct or I'm wrong. We'll see. Okay, we're almost there. 221. You can see how much is growing in size. This is why you would like to use a taller pot. Because once it starts hitting that candy stage, it grows in size. Hopefully that's going to be enough to fit in that little pot. Maybe I should put it in something else. I'm going to switch pots quickly and oil this one. Hopefully it doesn't burn. If it's on the thin side, it's on the thin side. But I'd rather to not be, what's it called? We're at, last time I checked, it was almost 230. Slowly getting there. 240. Alright, let's test it out. You see how, can't see that, how it formed little balls and sunk? I'm pretty sure that means it's done. So we're going to take this off the heat and pour it. Don't chatter on me. And don't stick. It smells good. It smells like caramel. I'm glad I went to a bigger pan because this needed it. Whoever said to use an 8x8 didn't know what they were doing. Alright. So it stuck to the spoon pretty good. Not sure if it cooled down yet. But it's not sliding, it's not going down the spoon. So hopefully we hit the chewy stage, but hard stage. Like in between hard and chewy. Hopefully. Almost done for the night. And it's 10:30. But I'm having fun in the kitchen and we're doing new things, so it's worth it. I think our brine is at room temperature. So we're going to go ahead and fill those jars and put the glass lids on them. Where's my funnel? Ah, my funnel. Right there when I needed it. Alright, that looks good for one jar. You have to do it slowly to allow the air bubbles to get hit. Alright, last jar. Alright. I'm going to bang this on the counter to get air bubbles out. I'm not sure if you can see it. The air bubbles popping up. I do have a canning shimmy you put in here, but I just want to make sure the brine gets everywhere where it's supposed to. This one isn't as bad. Alright, so might have to add some more liquid. It's kind of hard to see if it's floating. Let's go ahead and top this one off. Oof, I overfilled it. We'll just pour some of this back in there. You want to make sure that there is no food sticking over the brine. That's what this weight does. This jar might be kind of full. A bit more. I'd rather have too much brine than not enough brine. You do not want any of the vegetables outside the water or you will develop mold. And now we need to figure out this stuff. This, what I was reading the instructions is this will bubble up and bubble over once the bacteria becomes active in it. So do not place this somewhere where you're not prepared to have it in a pan or a rag underneath it. It also stated in the instructions, do not seal this once it's fermented or it could explode. I have never heard of that happening, but it makes sense. It has pictures, but they're not that good. So we're just going to have to try to work our way through this. Place airlock stem into gourmet hull. They don't have the lid on this, so let's take the lid off. They also don't have these two pieces in it. I don't think I have to go very far. Place the insert into the airlock. Looks like it's this side up. Fill the airlock with water until level. Alright. Fill the airlock with water until leveled. I guess until it floats. I don't know what that means. Okay. Snap the cover onto the airlock. I guess that's right. I don't know. I've taken a lot of chemistry for my degree. We use these, but for metal. They were glass. And it's a way for the air to come into this chute. It'll come out the bottom, go around the water, and come back up. So this topper here prevents the water from flowing back into the top spout, which allows water to go down the stream or down the tube. So that's the only thing this does is just allow gas to come out and keep water from going in. If you don't have this, then you can just open your jars multiple times a day. Every time you walk into your fridge, untwist it, let it air out. Or you can wrap it in cheesecloth, paper towels. I've done those as well. Since I wanted to get more deeper into fermentation and do larger batches, I wanted to try more of a, I'm going to say scientific approach to this. But if you're just starting, then using just a paper towel over the lid and opening it 3 times a day, that's how I've done my, what's it called? Let me pull that out and show you. My apple cider. I checked on this in a very long time. So you see, all I had was a cookie cutter. It was a rubber cookie cutter or a food silicone cookie cutter. And I just used that to weight down my apple peels to make apple cider. And I waited till it was done bubbling before I snugged the lid on it. Let me double check this, make sure it's still good. And yes, it smells like straight up apple cider. And this should stay good as long as I keep the lid snug on it, because it has a healthy source of bacteria to eat the bad bacteria when it enters. So if you do not have the glass weights, you can use anything you can find in your kitchen that you can clean and sterilize, like this. I only had one of these, so when I made apple cider again, I just had to keep pushing down every day the skins, and I developed mold in I can't remember what color mold, but there's one type of mold that you can just skim off if you start having that grow. I think it's either white or green. Not 100% sure. I'll have to look that up. And that's what happened. It might even oxidize. My skins might have started oxidizing. And that means I was getting air into the skins. So I just scooped those off, and it still worked out fine in the end. I still have it back there in my my storage pantry. But I'm going to put this back in the cupboard until I need it. This was just an experiment that worked out well. So I kind of did not put a lot of effort into this, and it worked out. So you don't need fancy things to do kitchen or homesteading stuff. Go. All right. So I'm going to finish filling these two up with water until it floats. I guess that allows, once it's sitting like this without water, you can hear it's rubbing the top and it's flush. When you allow it to float, it allows it to come off the tip to allow airflow to flow better. So make sure that you put enough water to start it to float gently. Oh, this in. If you are doing this a long term or really getting big batches, I would recommend glass ones. They do sell these in chemistry stores online. They might be cheaper than what they're selling on Amazon since they're putting it towards just fermentation. So they're trying to go after a niche. That's the right word. And so they can charge a little bit more. Versus if it's a chemistry one from a chemistry store, they're probably half the price. And they might be thicker glass because they're made to be, some are made to be tampered and heated and have different chemicals involved. So I will look into that to see if that is a better option if these go okay. These plastic ones were just what I need to do today in this small batch. If this goes well, and then I might quadruple. I would love to get into doing wine and alcohol and stuff like that. In that case, I will get higher quality these tubes. But these are still good. These are good plastic. They're not thin plastic. They're thick plastic. So I'm not dishing the company at all. They're You just want to make sure that when you tap it, it does kind of float around and has some movement to it, and it's not locked in place. Okay, let's cap these off gently. And these are good to go. So I'm going to let these sit on the counter for about a week. I'll look over them thoroughly every day. I'll keep them down here next to my fridge. Hopefully it won't get off too much heat to the fridge. I'll put them in the far corner because this gets the less light in the kitchen, since the window can't hit it over here. So I'm going to make room for that now. Alright, I'm just going to stick these in the corner. I did notice that these glass weights had impurities in them because I was cleaning them thinking they were dirt and they wouldn't come off. So they did have impurities in this. And it just caught my eye when I was looking at the top. I was like, what's floating in there? And that's what it is. I saw the impurity, which is fine. All I needed to do is just weigh down my vegetables. I'm pretty sure in the olden days when they did this, they didn't have all this fancy stuff. There was dirt everywhere, and it still worked out fine. I would stick them up in a cabinet, but my cabinets are full where I had to pull everything out from my bottom shelves when my daughter was getting into them. And I can't put them in my bottom cabinets because my daughter will find them. Was nothing this cool, so let me try this. That's good. It's smooth. It's chewy. I'm not sure, it might be a little too chewy. But it still hasn't probably set up properly. That's really good. But I haven't had anything sugar since December, so this is really good. Amazing. I will hold on to this recipe and definitely make it again. It is really good. And it was so simple to make. I didn't have to stir it once the butter melted. It just kind of hung out on the stove. Simple. Same with the cinnamon candy, which I need to lay that over here. I can't stop looking at this boom. It's so good. This cinnamon candy, I'm just going to shatter it, and the chunks that it comes off, I'm going to put it in a Ziploc bag and give that to my sister. Yeah, this is solid. So this set up very nicely. I'm not going to stick my finger in that, it's too chewy. The pictures had the caramel wrapped in wrappers. I'm not sure how I'm going to bring it to my sister's yet. I might have to freeze them and then make wax paper wrappers. That's probably what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to freeze it to make sure I'm going to slice it when it's semi-soft, when it's tomorrow. And then into bite size. Stick in the freezer. And then it'll be easier to wrap. And then I'm going to wrap and put them in a Ziploc bag and stick them in the freezer till Saturday when we're going up there. So today, or this evening, it's 10 to 11. I had such a blast in this kitchen. We made caramel for the first time, or I did. We made cinnamon candy for the first time, and I finally got most of those jalapenos out of my freezer, which I'm excited about. And I'm excited to have homemade fresh hot sauce besides the onions and the garlic. Later date, after they're fermented well, I'll make a video. We'll blend them up, we'll test them, my husband will test them, and I'll give you some feedback on those. Well, thank you for joining me here in the kitchen. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and join me in the kitchen more often. I plan to update this new year every third day. I have a schedule, that's my plan, so we'll see how that works out. But thank you for joining me in Kat's Kitchen. Thank you, have a great day, bye.